Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
And a very good morning to you. This is Newsline, live from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And as always, broadcasting on TV1, that brilliant channel from the Capital Maharaja Group. And this morning, we have got a very special set of numbers. One of them is 69, the other is 33, and then the other is 36, and then there's 11, and then there's 3. If you can work what those are, send me an SMS on 0772 300 305. But to tell us a bit more is the former chairman of COPE, veteran parliamentarian, Mr. Dew Gunasekara. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Faraz.
It's lovely having you here. And a lovely shirt, a lovely colour. But Mr. Dew, 69, the first of the numbers that I mentioned. It's 69 years nearly we've had independence. It's 1948. And we've had 33 years of a terrorist problem, a war. That leaves us with 36 as the balance. And in these 36 years, what have we achieved? Out of that, we've had, the next number we mentioned is 11. 11 heads of state. And we've had just 3 members of parliament, politicians, who were sent home because of an allegation of corruption. And that too done by the man who was possibly, bar Mr. Dahanayaka, the person who was the least in charge of the country in terms of years, SWRD Bandanayaka. How's that for statistics?
Yes, I fully agree.
Wonderful. What have we achieved? We've had a war.
No, Faraz, under 11 heads of governments, we have no doubt we can't say we have not achieved anything. We have progress.
Yeah.
Even if there no government, we would have progress.
Yes. But what about this business about corruption?
Corruption, of course. That day, recently, about a month back, there was an anti-corruption campaign was launched by the president.
Yeah.
And I was also invited by the Bribery Commissioner and the Election Commissioner.
Yeah.
And all the cabinet ministers, judges, all were there.
Right.
So I was also a member of the panel. There I was given 10 minutes to speak. There I drew the attention on the His Excellency the President.
Yeah.
I said, since independence, I find, when you look back, only Bandaranayaga, the only head of the government who sent 3 of his closest friends, parliamentarians, out of politics, out of parliament, on corruption brother. Ever since that, no head of the government has touched that subject.
Ever. Astonishing. But so does that mean that we in Sri Lanka have had, must be a Guinness Book of Records then, because in 69 years, Mr. Bandanayaka sent 3 of his closest friends and associates out of politics, straight out, on the mere presenting of a file, I suppose, to say, well, look, you're in trouble because you've taken a bribe or you've done something. And you can either go to court or you can retire.
In today's context, those offences are nothing.
Nothing.
Bag of rice or that type of giving a letter for a job and that type of thing.
Talking about letters for jobs, that's the... everybody gets a letter, don't they? And there's a little letter and it says, give them a job. At the Ports Authority, there's a room that's full of applications sent by all sorts of ministers. And including at the time by President Rajapaksa too. But then there's nothing new. Everybody does.
Yeah.
But do you think there's hope? I mean, these politicians are they're very clean on the face of it. Nobody's gone to court.
No, this subjects was never touched by any government since 1959. No government. There was a primary commission.
Yeah.
All laws are there, enacted, nothing, but nothing. If at all there's a small price, of spreads.
The big
Fee and take in a small 5 rupee here, that type of things, of course,
Yeah.
Other than that, nothing like that. But today it's become a phenomenon. It's a world phenomenon, particularly after neoliberalist economic policies and with the new constitution. This is a starting point of a corruption in a bigger scale.
But is corruption essential to oil the wheels of economic progress?
That is, some people say that is
necessary?
By way of commissions.
Yeah.
10% or 15% or 25%. But more than that, today it has taken a wider scale.
Mr. Secretary, you were 14 when we got independence. You're now 83. And do you think that, you see, before, when they were building the Southern Expressway, the highway to Galle, there was a lot of noise about the cost. But now nobody's really talking about that. But everyone seems to be using the highway and happily paying and making use of it. So do you think that the people are now not talking about the high costs and so on because they are happy with the fact that they've got a highway and they can go up and down and sideways very quickly? Or is it because they realize that there's nothing they can really
No,
do?
the main thing is, as far as people are not conscious, and because the governments never tell the people the truth. That is fundamental one of my things. You must tell the people. That is what even Lenin said. Don't hide anything. Must tell the truth to the people. Say, if you are in a big financial crisis, you must tell the people we are unable to. Then only they will respond. Our people are not so, they're charitable and they're prepared to help any government in power.
Yeah.
But that is something. But the fundamental question, I come back.
Yeah.
69 years of independence.
Yes.
Fundamentally, I think, before everything,
Yes.
I think that our pioneers, pioneering leaders of our country, made a fundamental mistake in not having built a Sri Lankan nation. Today we feel the pinch of it. That is why the three communities, Sinhalese, Tamils and Muslims, say they are. Still, there's no, you can't get a consensus. There's no absence of national unity. We are after 69 years, we have to talk about reconciliation and national unity. And this is, all other countries who attend, they were given pride of place, the first highest priority to build the nation, all communities together. That is where we fundamentally, even today, now 8 years have elapsed since the end of war. Again, if we continue to operate in the same fashion, I think there will be a re-emergence of conflicts or even terrorism.
And not necessarily in the north.
Not necessarily in the north.
Yeah.
May come from anywhere else. So that is why that attention should be given to the main. Main thing is that because you can never bring about national unity unless there is a consensus among all the political parties. The main thing is the politicians who create the president, not the people. As far as the ordinary man, Sinhalese or Tamil or Muslim, they are not communal minded.
They're not.
No.
You're absolutely right.
It is the politicians who give this idea to the people.
And it is not only in this country.
Anyway, correct.
if you remember, if you recall, Idi Amin, he chased away all those people of Asian origin from Uganda. And several years later, President Museveni was almost forced, in a way, to ask these very Asians to come back and save their country, Uganda, from economic disaster. But of course, in between, many of those refugees from Uganda went to the UK, where they were accommodated there, and became very successful there too.
So Donald Trump is repeating it.
Well, Donald Trump is doing it a little
So
bit.
Muslim women are in the airport yesterday, parading in 600 women.
But this is the whole problem, isn't it, Mr. Dew? You can't do these things retrospectively. Retrospective action somehow doesn't seem to be democratic. Now, that lady who was about to be sent on a flight within half an hour back to Syria, if the American legal system didn't kick in fast and furiously, and they took evidence with an official by telephone, because obviously that official couldn't come to court fast enough, and the judge pointed out that you're trying to send somebody back to within half an hour to Syria, and the emphasis was on Syria, and the official said, well, yeah, we don't really have all the details, and so the judge says, well, that's why we're giving the stay order. So if the system, the judicial system, wasn't so robust, there'd be all sorts of serious consequences. So what about in Sri Lanka? We've had, as you said, 11 heads of state. They've never gone, apart from Mr. Bandaranaike, nobody's ever gone down that route to address this corruption that seems to be almost endemic.
I hope this, with the appointment of the new commission,
yes, President
Maithripala said, I will emulate SWR Bandaranaike.
Well, they always say that SWRD is their man, and well, if there is, wouldn't it be a fitting tribute? And that could be President Maithripala Sirisena's legacy to democracy in this country. What do you think will happen? Is this a good? Are you welcoming the news of the Presidential Commission?
Oh yeah, I am the first person who demanded it.
Indeed,
immediately when the Prime Minister announced in Parliament that I have referred the report to the Attorney General Department, immediately on the following day I had a press conference and I said nothing will happen if it's referred to AG. It will lie there for years. And judging from this is a complex investigation.
Indeed.
But I am the person who...
you were the chairman of COPE, the first COPE to have a look into the bond.
Yeah, I interrogated 43 witnesses.
Correct.
Right. And that book, it's a 449 page report is there.
Yes.
And the new second committee went on the basis of those evidence. And that will be do. And regret to say that in the Parliament, the 9-hour debate, there was not a single MP who stood up and at least quoted from that evidence. They say the statements given there that Mrs. Senaratna said so and so came and asked me to increase it from 1 billion to 20 first, and it stopped at 10.
Yes.
And
that was a compromise.
And she put that in writing.
Absolutely.
And no one,
what a wonderful woman.
Yeah, and no one paid tribute to her.
Exactly.
And we have that type of public servants who get that caliber and integrity.
So you're talking about some of these footnotes as well.
Yeah. Whose footnotes?
The
MP's footnotes.
Yes. I want to.
Disgraceful.
I want to point out. Another person who's been a very vociferous critic of the performance of this government in terms of the bond matter is Mr. Rusiripala Tennakoon. And Mr. Rusiripala called me yesterday because he was reading some of these footnotes. And in one of the footnotes, we have the Deputy Minister, Ajit Pereira. His footnote, he's talking about the second bond, the one that was done in March 2016. In his footnote, he says, in this instance, there is no evidence that Arjuna Mahendran was present on the trading
That's right.
floor.
It may be.
However, does that then mean, is he saying that he is agreeing and he accepts that Arjuna Mahendran,
Was
governor, was present
Previous.
in the previous occasion? And that's the point.
Yeah.
You know, and as Mr. Tennecool pointed out, if one doesn't have an incisive mind, then they're never going to get to the bottom of this mega fraud. And like you just pointed out, Mr. Dew, there were so many components involved in it,
Yeah.
which is why, if it ever went to a civil court, it would never see light.
Never.
So you are very pleased, aren't you?
I am pleased. And I am happy with the composition of the judges also. In fact, there are 3 Supreme Court judges who are quite conversant of the bank transaction. They have knowledge and they have been trained, they have been working there in that field.
Right.
So of this, because even I myself had one day full discourse from a retired central bank governor.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such a complicated and complex investigation.
Indeed.
So we have a prior knowledge of how the working of it, mechanics of it. So I think at least otherwise.
So there's a glimmer of hope.
Yeah.
Do you think that punitive action can be taken in terms of recovering the money?
I don't know, we must see wait till the gazette is out and because they don't know what terms of reference are.
The Island this morning, in a front page headline story by Sham Ganewat, talks about the EPF loss from the bond scam, which he is quoting as at 14,000 million. That's about.
And as far as most of even in the parliament, this didn't come out. The main fact is that this person, this company, whose money they produce is the people's money. Money belong to the EPF, money belong to the Bank of Ceylon, money belong to the People's Bank and National Savings Bank. These are the money.
These are the monies.
Not other people, not the private sector money. It's the public sector money.
So they
and the government should have easily, through the direct system, got the money on the phone from their own institutions.
Exactly.
Without paying higher interest.
And all these margins.
Yeah.
So they acted with absolute disdain and disregard.
Calculated plan is
Calculated plan.
Calculated plan.
And who do you think was responsible for this calculated plan?
I don't know. Pending investigation, I don't want to commit myself.
No. Yeah.
Maybe. Political responsibility is there, of course, with the government, the ministers in charge.
Yeah.
But
in this case, it strikes me that there is no need for one of these super ministers, as Ranil Wickremesinghe is proposing now, because obviously whoever who engineered and who set the course and calculated this premeditated action was obviously like a super minister, wasn't it?
now they are talking about difference between the direct and the auction system.
Yeah.
No. You take the auction system is a better system.
Yes.
Now here, how they operated the auction system.
Yeah.
That is the main matter.
Yeah.
There are 2 issues. One thing is to easily government usually taken obtain this money through the direct system.
Correct.
And lesser interest.
Yeah.
Second thing is, granting that right, you decided upon the auction system, and the auction system was it done properly.
Well,
Monetary board had not given the sanction at the time that auction took place.
That's right.
Monetary board had taken there for the next 1 month, you must maintain the same rate of interest.
And then
the same methodology.
Yes.
And they got the covering sanction after the incident.
Indeed.
This was not brought out even in the parliament correctly.
Absolutely. The government didn't have the governor of the central bank then, Governor Mahendran, didn't have the sanction of the monetary board to do what he did.
No, the other thing, his behavior since the discovery of the investigation,
Yeah.
how many press conferences he had. Have you heard of a governor of central bank from John Exter downwards? A governor of central bank having a press conference saying, no, I am innocent, I have not done anything. The whole country is, and I am conducting an investigation at the parliamentary level. He gives a press conference. I am innocent.
But, it's laughable, but it's so serious. But who do you think, what gave him, they say that, what was the wind beneath his wings? Who was the wind that propped him up? And who gave him the confidence to be able to do such a blatant thing?
Probably the man who appointed him as governor. They recommended to say appointment, of course.
The president.
President.
But the president did so with lots of reservations, as
For
reported
instance,
widely.
even the president, when he tried to renew it,
Yeah.
and his name came first, then president called for a number of names, several.
Indeed.
Right? Now, if he was reappointed, what would have been the situation?
God forbid. There'd be no money in the EPF. It'd be all gone. It'd be all gone to buy media institutions, BMW cars, and TV stations, shares in banks. And this is one major sort of a clean-up operation going on. And I can't see anywhere the role of
Now
the FCID.
now they are going to World Bank to seek a legal advice or financial advice.
Or just to find out if this was, whether they did it
Even
right.
they have said, no, we can't make
So
any.
they have put it in an internal report.
Yeah.
They're talking about this in an internal report. So the thing is, Mr. Duke, what will happen? Thereafter, we find the former governor of the central bank on all sorts of official visits and meetings where matters of state affairs are being discussed.
Yeah.
And then we have the Ministry of Finance issuing a statement to say that Mahendran doesn't have any formal role through the Ministry of Finance. But, normally, Mr. Duke, the Prime Minister jumps in, sometimes uninvited, and as it's his right to do, and makes a statement on this, that, or the other. But on the matter of the official sanction or not of Mr. Mahendran, the Prime Minister has been significantly silent. Why? I ask you.
I don't know, even Prime Minister, when I was the chairman,
Yeah.
before the dissolution of Parliament,
Yeah.
he made a statement to the media, can you remember?
Of course, it is.
COPE chairman has never invited me. I should have been the first person to give evidence.
Yeah.
Why
didn't you invite him?
I said, according to standing orders, I can't summon ministers to the COPE.
But they can come on their own.
Ministers, no. Only public officials.
Oh, I see.
Ministers can be questioned on the floor of the House in Parliament only, not by COPE, not the COPE. The standing orders are quite clear.
So this man who was there...
So the minister in charge of central bank, I wouldn't, in terms of standing orders, I couldn't have summoned him.
And
there's no purpose. But that man has said, or he gave me, you follow the procedure of auction. So maybe, as minister, he would have given that advice. That is another thing. That doesn't necessarily mean that the monetary board is bound to accept that.
Indeed.
Because according to the monetary law, it's a board that decides upon the modus operandi and the mechanism and the methodology. No one else.
And in all of this is a classic case of money laundering going on. They've raped. There's no other word for it, arguably. But
Now, far as whatever it is, we are fortunate to having a man like Auditor General.
Gamini Vijay Singh.
Man of that caliber, I have not heard in the last few decades of public servant of that stature.
Top man he is.
And he said, no, you
top
must.
man.
It's an indictment. You read the report meticulously. I
Yeah.
read the whole report, and we have done a marvelous job.
I just said money laundering. A viewer is saying, no, it is not money laundering, it's robbing the public.
Outright.
Outright robbery. Daylight robbery. Daylight. The questions are coming in thick and fast this morning. Somebody's asking this question to you. The present COPE chairman did a lot to expose the scam. How many scams have you investigated, and are you happy with yourself that you did justice to the people? Are you happy?
No, I say now the COPE was in existence since 1979.
Yeah.
I asked you,
Yeah.
were you aware that there was a COPE in existence for the last 3 decades until I took it over? No one else knew, not even Paul, no one took. You know, from 1979 to 2010, there had been about 10 COPE chairmen, right?
Yeah.
And under UNP administration and the Chandrika's administration, right? And they had done for the 31 years 600 investigations. I did during a matter of 4.5 years 700 investigations for 4 years, and submitted 6 reports. Not 30 reports as what Lakshman Kiryala says. He tried to put the whole thing on me.
Yeah.
I put 30, only 6. And 6, I got for the first time I summoned all the secretaries and discussed the reports. Never in the history of the COPE. And I submitted to the cabinet. I got discussions in the cabinet.
Yeah.
For the first time in the history of the cabinet, the COPE reports were discussed. And directions were given to the ministers to follow it up, implement these things. Other than that, I was only although I was a minister, but they are in the COPE as chairman, I was a legislator there, part of the legislature. Mm-hmm. So there's a limit to what the parliament can do.
So when I've got so many
I got number of chairmen removed.
Yeah.
I got number of boards removed.
So those were the chief.
And I read during my 4 years. Each one of my report was debated in Parliament, and see the Prime Minister's present Prime Minister formally to the question speeches, complimented me, shout. Every Lakshman Kiryala, John Namartunga, everyone was praising for the first time in the history of in the COPE that such a marvelous performance have been made. And I asked them to read the Hansard.
A question from Candy says here, part of it, the question is, can you ask your distinguished guest what damage the former president and his brothers did to this country?
They are under investigation, so I can't make a comment on it.
No, that's right. Okay.
I am responsible. I won't make my comments.
There you are. Well, it's a good question, but our distinguished guest can't really answer that. Do you think, really, there's another question, because somebody's saying it's disagreeing that it's not money laundering, but it's a robbery. Do you agree that that's robbery?
Yeah. Correct.
It's nothing more than robbery. So these people should be ashamed.
Money laundering bill, I can remember the great man.
But
Lakshman Kadrekamar, the man who moved that bill, Parliament. And that was his last bill, last action in Parliament before he was killed.
But Mr. Jiu, isn't it astonishing that nearly 2 years since the first bond was issued, there is no real effort to freeze the monies made? The other day, I think it was Andhra Kumar Dissanayake, no, it wasn't, it was Vasant from the Voice Against Corruption. He said that it's very simple. He said one company is made just under 13 billion, and he said the losses of the EPF is 14. So he said that's the evidence. It was rather simplistic, but it is the popular perception. Somebody made money, somebody had to pay for it, and the people paid for it. And the people's monies are being used, it's being laundered in the pursuit of buying or setting up newspapers, TV stations, perhaps radio, a lot of money being...
This company was registered in 2014.
13, I think.
Enough.
Yeah.
They started operations from 2014.
Yeah.
And it was 500 million at that time. The capital base
The
was...
capital was 300
Capital
million.
was 300 million.
Yeah.
300 million.
Yeah.
And today, within 14 months, see the profits that they have made. I tell you. That is why I said, I quoted once, I can remember when Karl Marx said, when you reach 300% rate of profit, he becomes a murderer.
But this government, this Ranil Wickremesinghe-led government, have got nothing but controversy. The Volkswagen plant, the tyre plant, the bond scam, the outer circular roads, the Central Expressway. The list is almost endless. Where's the hope?
That is. I mean, in addition to the conflict of in policies, but within their own, within the policies themselves, you know, I don't know, the economic management. Generally, there's a general opinion in the country that when the UNP comes to power, as far as whatever mistakes, they are capable of managing the economy. But that has been proved.
Well, that was the perception, but that's and we've got another message here. Don't forget the land in Slave Island. Don't forget Hambantota, and the list is endless. And so, is that what augurs for us in the 70th year of our independence?
Yeah, that's it. So that is why they start, at least after 70 years, high time that all the political parties should take a very concerted, collective effort to eradicate this menace. You know, even I'm not that happy about the way that the debate was conducted. You know, it's a mudslinging debate. It should have been carried on with a more intellectual debate should have been there, exposing educate the people and tell them how they operate.
And there's one more.
Digital economy, very difficult to discover all this rubbish. Digital economy.
And the Agency for Development. It's not even formulated properly, but they've got Mr. Mangalayappa, who's the managing director designate. But where has all this been discussed and agreed? On that note, do Gunasekara.
I have no matter. Whatever will be, I also been part of the government, right? You must probe and bring all these fellows to book. There's no question about whether this government or that government or which party.
Do Gunasekara, it's been wonderful talking to you. Time flies when you're having a good time. Thank you very much. Former Chairman of COPE, Do Gunasekara. And that's it from Newsline. We've overrun slightly, but thank you for putting up with that. And have a great week ahead. Take care and God bless.